Wondering how your mindset affects your life? How to bring more energy into your business and life? Millions of people around the world ask these same questions daily. You are in the right place. Learn practices that will help give your life the meaning and success you've been searching for. Welcome to the Charge Podcast, teaching you how to create habits around real goals every day. Practical life advice from those who made it. Here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
When running a small business, you face new challenges every day. There are so many distractions during the daily grind. You feel overwhelmed and frustrated. Everyone should have the ability to reach their full potential in business and life. The Ascend Mastermind Peer Advisory Board will give you access to other like-minded individuals to share your challenges with and hold you accountable. It will help you move from stagnant to growth and give you more freedom in your business and life. Each quarter, we'll tackle a new area of the positive culture blueprint: health, connections, wealth, and even contributions. Imagine your business growing without you being stuck in the day-to-day operations. Imagine your next family vacation and you're fully present. Imagine having the freedom and flexibility you desired when you became a business owner. It's time to move from your imagined future and turn it into reality. You can have it all: a profitable business, impactful relationships, and even family time. So go to thechargepodcast.com and click on the link for your free discovery call to see if you qualify for the Ascend Mastermind today. Welcome, Chargers. We're glad to have you back again this week for a great podcast. You know, I like bringing you different guests with different viewpoints, but also we want to educate you while you're listening to this podcast. And today I think I have a guest that will really interest you, because if you're doing things in your business and you're needing to attract more attention, I think you're going to want to stay tuned. But before I get there, let me introduce you to Johnny, and he's going to share with us what problem will you solve for our Chargers today.
Yeah, Gary, thanks for having me on. Problem we can solve is just how to use video to get measurable results for your business.
So now you know what it's about. It's all about video. But I want to be able to come back and be able to have 3 questions that you solve for our listeners, Johnny. What are those 3 questions I can ask you that you're going to help solve on this podcast?
Yeah, video is one of those things that I think everybody wants to do, but doesn't really know how to do or really how to make it work. And so the 3 questions that we could really help answer today are just the ways to use video in your business or for your brand. And as intimidating as it is, just how do you even get started? And then most importantly, how do you get results, especially on social media these days?
Well, that is going to be a fun conversation. I can't wait to get into it. But let me introduce Johnny to you. Johnny Eaker is the founder and chief strategist for Cosmic Sauce. It's a video marketing agency in Columbia, Missouri, where he helps clients craft video marketing campaigns that drive results. Prior to founding the agency, he was a video director for State Farm Insurance, a Fortune 50 brand with one of the largest in-house creative agencies in the nation, where he worked with high-profile partners like the NBA, helped lead national social media campaigns, and helped grow the brand's social media presence to more than 2 million followers. Today, Johnny speaks to various organizations on the topics of video marketing and social media. His agency helps brands develop winning video marketing and social media strategies that generate measurable results. Johnny, it is great to have you on the Charge Podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Gary. Excited to be here. Been a long-time listener. So
yeah, well, great. I'm glad to hear that. I love the concept of video and to be able to get those measurable results that we want to really share. And we know video, we're seeing it all the time. If you're on social media, you're seeing it. In regular media, we see how video is being used. And it's really changed the game of how important video has become in our businesses. So I think you was going to start with, what are some of the ways that people can use video in their business and really help them create a brand that identifies them? Can you share some thoughts around that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, that you don't have to look too far to see how important video and social media is. They just kind of go together. And if you don't believe it, ask your kids or your grandkids, right?
Right.
TikTok's everywhere. We've seen so many emerging. There's always the next thing, and video seems to be at the forefront of that. And so that's really what we're trying to do at Cosmic Sauce, is pay attention to what those trends are, what's important, and most importantly, it's just where to start, and really take a look at someone's business and look at what might make sense for them, and we might get into, a crazy comedic campaign video, which we did for our agency, may not be, the right thing for a small business or a nonprofit brand, but I can guarantee you that video does have a place in your organization today, somewhere. And so I think that's where, all the different ways, when you don't know where to get started, I always say, you need to really approach video kind of like dating. And in that, I mean, on your homepage, what does that first impression need to be, and how the quality and the impression that you're trying to make when someone is just now getting to know your brand. A lot of us in business, we're very familiar with sales funnels. I think take a look at your sales funnel, and there's a place for video in every place of that. Really think about how people connect with your brand and that funnel concept. And there's that top of funnel, and where they get to know who you are and what you're about. And then as they move down to becoming a customer, there's different types of content that's really important along that journey.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is really getting people to realize that, number one, it's easier than it used to be, but you're creating the content that really creating a brand. And that's the thing I think people have to remember, is when they're creating that brand, and they're able to use it in so many different facets. You talked about home pages and then those sales funnels, but also you've seen success, correct, in social media campaigns and even with hiring people. Can you share a little bit about that, of different ways that taking it from the homepage to taking video to even a deeper level?
Yeah, really, it's that, you if you're trying to figure out how to make social media work for you, and maybe in a paid social media aspect, like that may be a place where you're like, we really want to engage on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. How do we do that? And it's really taking, to be honest, you don't need a single video. You need a bank of content. You need something that's more of probably a landing page. And it's funny to call it a long video, but a 2-minute video is a long video in today's day and age, right? And that's the video that probably sits on the landing page that we're driving traffic off of Facebook, Instagram too. And in this day and age, 15-second videos do really well. And so you might have a 15-second attention grabbing video that then just intrigues someone just enough to click through. And now that's where you need a really great landing page, some really good messaging, and a really great video that really gets them to take whatever that next step is. And so it's a process. It's a campaign approach. It's not just we're going to go make a great video about our furniture store. It's about, we need something that really appeals to who our customer is, and they're going to see that, they're going to take the next step and then begin that journey.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. And I think so many people forget that pictures will show something, but video can tell the story. And I think that's the thing we forget about with our brands when we're using video, is we're able to tell that story if you've got someone that puts it together in a right method. So one of the things I know that you try to do is you have a story smart framework to really get people in the branding. Can you share with us why that's so important for business owners to look at when they're really trying to create their brand?
Yeah, with us, our story smart framework, it is just trying to have a business kind of go back through the marketing basics. I'm always amazed at, no matter how long someone's been in business, they think they know their customer really well, and it's amazing how much their business may have changed in the last 2, 3, 5 years since they've really sat down and thought about. So the first step in that is just to really look at who your client is, and you hear about online avatars, and really get to understand who it is you're trying to market to, and then walk through a process of just what that looks like, and where they hang out online, and really just what you're trying to speak to, because what that does is it will begin to dictate the kind of content that you need to make. If it's a 35-year-old millennial mom homeowner, that's very different than, an auto body shop that's trying to talk to custom car guys, right? I mean, it seems very basic, but when you start to really think about who they are and the kind of content that they consume online, well, then that starts to tell you where to go.
Yeah, and I know that is crucial, because the problem is it's not just about doing video, it's about doing the right video so you attract that right audience and get really, so they listen to you and they watch. And when you do that, then of course that creates the conversions you were talking about to your website or to your sales funnel page or to wherever you're kind of driving them to do that, to create the traffic that they're looking for.
Correct.
When you're looking at video, what's some of the things that if you were that business owner and I was sitting down with you and you didn't have the expert in video, what are some of the things you would tell business owners to make sure when they're thinking about video that are kind of some of those things that they need to really look out for?
Yeah, I'd say the lowest hanging fruit for a business owner is testimonial videos. That really is, if anything else, none of us have to be rocket scientists to know that some really great testimonials does a lot of different things for someone's business, and you can use those in a lot of different ways. And so, if you're skilled enough with even the iPhone 13, it's a very capable, you can acquire some really great stuff. We can talk a little bit too about, I think, even Zoom video testimonials. I think this day and age, like that's, if you've got an office manager that could just capture some people on Zoom and then go out and find an editor that can help kind of chop that up, even that, just a 15-second video clip of someone that it's that authenticity, right? That's really what we're trying to get at. So there's different levels in production quality and case story videos, and there's different ways to do it. I mean, we were in just a big manufacturer, a 400,000 square foot manufacturing facility for manufacturing automation. We were literally shooting all day to show, but all it was a testimonial video. They're trying to get this huge project. They just want to get more projects like that. So it was worthwhile for that business to then have spend for a full professional film crew to create, we call them a case story video, but it's a testimonial video. So that's kind of on the higher end of the spectrum. But the other end of that is spend some time, if you can just get any of your customers in front of a camera, and even on Zoom, there's so many ways that you're able to repurpose that content.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, is getting started. And it kind of comes with number 2 question you had, and you kind of gave some indication already to that, but don't let video seem intimidating. But how can you really get started? And you shared with testimonials in that areas, but what should a brand really look like? What's some of the things that if you were consulting with them, what some videos would be must-haves, you would say, for almost any business?
Yeah, I think it really it's that, think about someone's coming to your website, and it's those sections of your website can really, those are videos in their own right. So it is the who we are, the about us video, but you really want to put it in terms of who that customer is and really pay attention to that, so that that when that homepage video, and then it needs to be front and center. There's so many times that people, we have clients that in the past, before now, we manage campaigns for people, but in the beginning we were strictly video production. And so we would produce a video, we would hand it over, and it would get buried in the bottom of the About Us page. And it's like, man, nobody's watching our video, or we put it on YouTube, like nothing's happening. Well, probably one of the best things you do is, if you're going to produce some content like that, make sure that it is front and center, that people can see it. And so there should be, if you're going to go in on video, it needs to be on the homepage. It needs to be above the fold. It needs to be right there where people can then get that less than 2-minute version of what your whole website's about. Like, that's the advantage, is that people be like, oh, I get it. And now they can take whatever that next step is. Another place is going to be FAQ type content. I literally had a call this morning about someone that's got how a software app kind of works, and so all of that, take a look at, especially if you do any sort of customer support, all those questions that you get on a recurring basis that seem to pop up that your support reps, either on the phone or on chat or however, you should, if you're in a place where that's a great place, and those can be screen share type videos. Like, again, you can take the production quality from way up to something super polished, or just start there with just screen shares and being able to walk people through that so that you can send that to people. A lot of people are okay with, as long as your website directs them on where to go for support, they can watch a YouTube video and figure it out. I think people these days don't really want to talk to people. So if you could make that happen, then I think you're listening to your customer and you're just showing them what they need. So if it could be a short little tutorial there, that's an easy place to minimize the number of support requests that you get.
Well, and there's so many different ways to use video. I mean, I was talking to a client the other day and they said all their leads come from inbound because of what they've done with their website to generate it. They do no outbound direct call to get their clients. Everything comes through their website, even their social media, everything is directed in that side of it. And then they come and then they say they're interested. Then that's when they reach out to them. So when we think in that method, we can create the video sales funnel, as we call it in the industry. But what you're doing is you're creating them leads that it's coming into your organization versus you having to direct it out. But it's putting all those pieces together, having a framework, having a strategy that will allow there. And then the last one that we've got to talk about is really social media, because that becomes the big key but the thing is, so many people are posting up on social media, but they're not getting any results. And then they say, well, social media doesn't work. So I guess my question to you is really, and you kind of said, how do we get results when we're using social media?
Well, I think, and this is the year, I mean, even our agency kind of really wanted to answer that question for ourselves. And so I think you've got to be willing to pay attention to your audience. That's where I think a lot of times businesses, you just tend to do what's been done. You do what's safe. Again, we're a plumbing company and this is what other plumbing companies do, as opposed to maybe trying to take a step back and be like, well, what is social media really all about? How do people really use the various platforms? Because Facebook's very different than Instagram, right? Which is very different than YouTube. And so depending on, again, we talked about starting at the beginning and what's the strategy, but if you're like, I think there's just a place for edutainment, right? That if create things that can entertain, but also educate at the same time. If you can create that 2-for-1, and if you're allowing your brand, and this doesn't have to be, again, super expensive. I think of a number of local businesses that do this very well. It's just being willing to get started, turn the camera, find either yourself as the business owner or someone in your organization that is willing to just kind of flip the camera around and have a little fun. Well, that right there, you're going to stand out amongst anyone else that is just doing things the way that they've always been done. They're using stock images. They're not even using video at all. And so if you can just begin to allow that to happen and allow some entertainment and let that be part of your brand, that alone will start to see results. And then the other piece of that is you have to pay for it. So we can talk about that too, that you can create all the content in the world, but as a business, you got to pay to play.
Yeah, that becomes really important. And I think the other part that you mentioned so much is you've got to get started. I mean, if you're on social media, there's no guess what gets attention, because if you're watching, what stops you in the scroll? Video.
Yep.
Long posts normally don't get people. Normally people scroll right past them, but video captures their attention because they want to see what is in it. Even if they have the sound off, then that becomes critical, that first 10 seconds that you're grabbing their attention, because if you don't grab their attention, they're not going to take the sound off and listen to the rest of it. And as you said, a lot of them are less than 10 seconds. It's a 5 seconds you're grabbing them because it may only be a 15-second clip. And now these reels are getting so popular on social media to be able to grab attention to people because, it's the depth of the scroll that's there. But you've got to have video in your business. I forget what the numbers is, and I'm sure you've seen the article in HubSpot. I think it was what amount that video was going to grow this year and has grown from last year. I mean, it's the number one thing that people are looking for when they're on social media.
It changes a little bit every year, but it's always for the next year. It's always like 87, almost 90% of all internet traffic is video. Like it's just, and now they're including streaming in those numbers. So when we talk about, Netflix and Hulu and all platforms combined, yeah, and it's only going to continue to grow as internet speeds get better and 5G and whatever the next iteration is. It's just, we keep track of trends around interactive video and personalized video. It's nonstop. And that's kind of that. And so if you're just getting started, yeah, just start, but know that there is so much opportunity. And if you're really looking for a competitive advantage, I mean, we didn't even really get into this, but just that from an outbound perspective, just being able to use your iPhone and text someone a video, start there. I mean, there's cool tools and CRMs and all that, but if you're a salesperson, watch how many more meetings you get by putting yourself on camera and sending a personalized message using someone's name. That alone can change the game for you.
Yeah, and I loved what you said about know your audience. Don't create it. Don't have to give them all the history and who you are and all those type of things. Instead, edutainment, educate them along with give them some entertainment that's going to attract your type of customer that you're looking for. And it's thinking differently than we've all ever thought before. And that's where, if you can't get started, that's where someone like a Cosmic Sauce comes in because he has a Story Smart framework. First thing he does is consult with you. So find that person there. I'm going to recommend Johnny because he's on this podcast here with us. But, check out someone in that nature that's going to get you in your business. And if you've not used video and you're not using it at all, you're behind the eight ball because it's not now if you need video. You have to have video in your business if you're out there marketing to your clients. Johnny, anything, let's just say we've got that business owner, they've heard this and they understand they need to do video, and you've said multiple things several times, but if you gave them a 1, 2, 3 start list for that person that has not been using video, what would you tell them to start with?
I think, again, start with something of a plan. There's too many folks are like, well, let's go out or let's hire somebody I know or my nephew that does video, but they don't really understand what they're trying to do. And so just take a step back, think about who your customer is, what your process is, look at your own website, how your website is broken up. That alone gives you kind of a starting place. And if all else fails, let's make some testimonials, right? But let's again start, with a plan, and then from there look for opportunities that if you are making an investment with any sort of production partner, that there are ways to leverage that investment. That you may spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars, that you can turn one video project into months of content for social media. That being able to leverage a one-day video shoot the right way, again, if you start with the plan, then now you're able to break all these things up into short, what we call micro content. There's micro content opportunities all over the place. And so that would be another place to really think about how you can do that whenever you're jumping into video. And then third is like any other marketing activity, it's measure it, be able to measure it. And because anyone that's just going to deliver a beautiful video, and there's a lot of folks out there that can do that. Go through Instagram. There's some amazing video content out there, but you got to know that it's working and it's doing what it's supposed to do in your business. If it's more social media engagement, if it's traffic to a website, if it's ultimately conversions, phone calls, whatever it is, it's got to be tied to some sort of metric.
Excellent. Well, great game plan there. And it's really about getting your plan together, then implementing that plan. And if not, then find someone that can help you in that area that's going to allow you to do that. Johnny, before we go, I think you had a call to action that you're willing to share with the audience, and share with your website that they can go to if they'd like to check you out.
Yeah, like mentioned earlier, we do have, it's a free 5-part video series that is our Story Smart framework. And it literally walks you through how we've gotten millions of views for our clients, everything that we've been talking about today. And so if you go to cosmicsauce.agency, it's right then and there. It's all over. You just you download the framework. But what you get is you get a video a day from me leading you through. And the best part is there's all these great worksheets that's really taken out of our consulting guide. So from there, you could go through the 5-part series and you'd be able to put together that plan piece that we've been talking about today.
That is great. I appreciate you sharing with them. I did see that on your website and got some of the downloads. He's got great information. And the thing is, he's giving you the download. So if you go to his site, cosmicsauce.agency, and hit the Story Smart framework, he's going to give you a lot of those downloads. So if you want to be a do-it-yourselfer, he's helping you in that area of what you need to think about in each one of those videos that's there, along with the downloads that's available. If you just want to check out his website, go to cosmicsauce.agency and check it out. And you'll see kind of how he can get you into his funnel. If you want to reach out, he's got where you can schedule an appointment, because that's the key. If people are interested, you've got to have a way that they can connect with you, and they want to be able to do it on their time. Johnny, before I let you go, I ask every guest 2 questions, and I want to ask you these questions too. I call them the recharge round. And the first one is charge. Of course, that's the name of the podcast, but it's also my mantra: create habits around real goals every day. What habit do you think's led to success in your life?
For me, it's been just creating a plan. That taking 15-20 minutes for yourself. For me, it's that first thing Monday morning that I genuinely look forward to. And I wasn't always that guy. Was not always that guy. And I definitely didn't have a plan. I didn't know what I was doing. And so for me, that's when the needle really started to move, when I really was starting to pay attention to mapping out my week and really taking a step back, and how that feeds into all your goals, right? And everything you're trying to do, if you can just kind of reverse engineer it. But it to me, it's that weekly, daily plan, and it changes everything.
Yeah, big difference there it makes when you create a weekly plan and then you take daily and tell yourself, what are the 1 to 3 things that you want to get accomplished this week? How about the second one is, we don't get do-overs in life, but of course we always would like to have a do-over. What's a do-over in your life that you would, what would you want it to be for yourself?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one because, yeah, no regrets, right? No regrets. It's been quite a ride. I will say this, and probably most entrepreneurs probably say this, that I would have started what I'm doing a lot sooner than what I did. And that I think a lot of us come from a fear mindset, myself included. And this is at least true for me. I was good enough to do this probably 10 years before I made the jump to do it. And so, if anything, all things considered, nothing else changes in the personal side of my life, I would have just jumped, trusted myself, believed in myself, and just jumped.
Yeah, and that's the key. Entrepreneurs take a lot of risk, but the thing is, you have to get started somewhere. And that's the thing. If you're listening and you're not an entrepreneur, but you've been thinking about it, and you've got a concept to put together, that is the thing, is do your planning. And I tell people, don't ever jump without a parachute, but jump, because the problem is you'll always regret it if not. There's plenty of stories out there that say they've interviewed 80-year-olds and they ask what's the regret they had, and they normally say it's something that they didn't do themselves and that they wish they would have decided to go forward and do that. Well, Chargers, I'm so glad you joined us today. Some great information that Johnny shared with us on video marketing. Johnny, share that website address one more time, and we'll have that in show notes at chargepodcast.com, because we know our Chargers are not just sitting there listening and being able to take tons of notes. Instead, they're active people. But give them that website one more time, and we'll put it in show notes also.
Sure, yeah, get that Story Smart framework at cosmicsauce.agency.
So we will have all that in show notes at chargepodcast.com. I truly appreciate Johnny coming on and sharing his expertise about video marketing. Something that I want to do more of is talking to business owners that are doing the same thing that the people that are listening. Like Johnny told you, he's a listener. He's a longtime listener, but he's got some of the challenges and struggles like we all do. But the thing is, we learn from each other, and that's the key. And so I want to bring more people on. If you think you're one of those people that'd like to be on the podcast, please send me a message, chargepodcast.com. There'll be a place that you can send us an email and let us know you're interested, and we'll reach out to you and get you all the information. Johnny, thanks again for joining us today.
All right. Thank you, Gary.
Chargers, now my action for you is, what are you doing in the area of video for your company? Go set a plan and decide how you're going to start using video starting today. That's my action item for you. Then the other thing I'd suggest you do, share this podcast, because you know 3 other business owners that could benefit from this podcast. Please go to your app that's on your phone and just share that application, and you can share this download to 3 people right away, and you may help them in their business. I'll look forward to seeing you next week, Chargers. Make it a great day. Talk to you soon.
This podcast is ended, but your life doesn't just stop. To continue your inspiring journey, head over to chargepodcast.com and access all the tools and resources mentioned on today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing with somebody who may also benefit from the advice provided. That's chargepodcast.com. Until next time, charge in business and life.